The world is a very difficult place. The US is attacking Iran. There's a lot of geopolitical uncertainty. How is that affecting you?
Well, we have been used now for the last 3 years for geopolitical uncertainty. It's obviously another crisis situation. But you see actually that overall the capital markets remain calm. I also would say that companies and corporates and the whole industry are actually at the time and have prepared themselves for these kind of escalations. That doesn't mean that we don't take them seriously. We have to take them very seriously. But each and every participant in the industry is better prepared for those situations like any time before. And therefore we see overall a calm reaction. But of course, it now depends whether there is any further escalation. And hence it is a little bit too early to judge.
So essentially you're saying that the boards have much more risk analysis and risk scenarios in place in that world we are right now in?
That's correct, and we have seen that for years now, that every board is trying to prepare, every board is also trying to think in options, and that is also what we as Deutsche Bank are always advising to our clients. This is the world where you need risk management, not only the risk management of your bank, of your financial institution, but your own risk management. And we can see that the level of attention of the boards is much higher, which we appreciate, and I think which is one reason why actually, despite this uncertainty, people are still faring well with it.
That's very interesting. There's another very interesting event coming up, the NATO summit. We're increasing spending tremendously. So how do you think can that be financed? Is the financial world like your bank willing to contribute?
Well, first of all, I think it's a good message. It's a good message because we have been clearly, in particular on the European side, we have been underinvesting, and therefore I think the message that we increase spending is good, because at the end of the day, defense is one of the core topics for a country. Number two, I think we are always underestimating what the positive impact of defense spending is. It's not only defense spending. If you rightly spend into defense, you really impact positively your technology, your innovation capability. I'm always saying that part of the Silicon Valley is actually the result of defense spending in the US, and I do believe we should always see defense also as an act for innovation and technology. Thirdly, I think we are prepared to spend that, and look, Deutsche Bank has a double-digit billion of exposure to the defense industry. We have actually sized up not only our portfolio appetite, but also the resources we bring in order to advise our clients. And now we also need to work with public institutions how we can leverage the funds of the government. Because at the end of the day, the money needs to go to the mid-cap and the supplier companies. And here we need to work smartly with institutions like KfW or AIB. Therefore, we signed the contract with them last week. If we do this and we finally work on the Capital Markets Union, we are all well prepared to finance that expenditure.
We've already seen some innovative companies, especially surrounding the Munich ecosystem. Do you think that are first signs that we are seeing a momentum also among startups in the defense industry?
Definitely. I was just actually participating last Friday in a discussion of startup companies. And I always thought about startup companies in the fintech area, in the pharma area. I would say a good amount of these startup companies are actually working with defense companies. So we can see that there is something cooking up, breathing up, and which is very, very positive. But we also need to be able to finance those. And therefore, again, the balance between Capital Markets Union, public financing, and the private sector leveraging that is now key to get it done successfully.
Let me ask you as well about sort of the state of the German economy, because we have seen PMI surprising on the upside, being especially also stronger than in France. Is that also reflected among your clients? Are they investing?
It is indeed encouraging, and yes, indeed, we have much more discussions with our clients on investments. Now, I think it would be wrong to say that since the new government is in place 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, that we have already seen a magnificent increase in financing, but the discussions go into the right direction. So the whole attitude, the whole mindset is changing, which is very positive. And therefore, I'm convinced that actually with the approval and also with structural reforms coming, and we just heard from the Chancellor, that we start to see first reforms coming on the 11th of July to be decided then, I do believe that we will see actually a momentum in the second half. Secondly, the mindset is also changing and hopefully changing on the retail side. We have a very high saving ratio for the time being, in particular in the German society. If the mindset is improving, and that's what we can feel in our discussions, we will see more consumption, which again is positive for the economy.
One last word on whether we benefit, and as well US Bank benefit from the turmoil we see in the US. Do you see more clients coming to you because you're a European bank?
Yeah, well, one always have to be careful, but clearly, let me describe it differently. Europe has a real opportunity. First of all, because you see that actually a lot of asset managers and a lot of financial institutions, but a lot of actually wealth managers are diversifying their asset base, and they look to Europe. They really see that something is happening in the engine of the European Union, i.e. in Germany. So there is something really building up, which is positive. And in this regard, there is another theme where obviously it's a huge advantage for Deutsche Bank. A lot of international clients, not only German clients, international clients are actually seeing in this geopolitical theme, they would like to have a European alternative to the US banks. And that must be actually our position. Therefore, this global house bank concept which we have actually plays very favorably in it. And yes, we are banking on it.